Sociology. Today is the middle of the third week of distance learning. We have kind of a shorter one today. In fact, this might be the shortest, or at least in terms of content, that we'll have for the rest of the year. That's not this class. That's not either. But we have one more topic. Here we go. One more topic, which is language. That's going to be really fun. And then we're going to have a little bit of a quiz. So that day I'll kind of talk a little bit, going back over everything, and then we'll take a quiz, which obviously will be all sorts of open note. Then we'll do the North Project survey, and then review for the final. I just got the whole faculty, and maybe you too, I don't know, got a message from Morton saying that we are going to have Friday and Monday off. So this is now Wednesday, and the next day in class would have been Friday, but instead is going to be Tuesday because we get Friday and Monday off. So this will be the last day in this class that you have until Tuesday, I believe. Today we're going to talk about an effect. Don't quite want to talk about it yet because it'll kind of ruin it, but I do want you to, here in a second, once I explain what's going on, I want you to pause this video real quick and write down something which you are not going to turn in. You can even just think about it in your head, but I want you to actually do this. When in a normal situation, I do have everybody write down these numbers on a piece of paper, and then I take those pieces of paper without any names and I tally them up, which I guess fortunately I have all those from past years, so we'll kind of talk about what the results are going to be, but I don't want to talk about it yet. What I do want you to do is, I want you to visualize the people that are in your class, in this sociology class. So think about who's in my class. Both classes this year are almost completely full. So think who's to my left, who's to my right, who's in front of me, who's behind me. Think about all the people in the class. Now, I want you to rate yourself for all these 7 attributes on a scale of 1 to 10. So if you think, kind of on percentiles, so if you think that you are the least athletic person in the class, you put a 1. You think you're in the 10th percentile for athleticism. If you think you're completely average athletic, put a 5. If you think you are one of the top 2 most athletic people, you put a 10. You're in the 100th percentile. It's not a perfect system, but it'll work. So if you think you're average intelligence, you put a 5. If you think you are super funny, 9. If you think you're not that attractive, 3. You think you're super friendly, 8. Whatever. But you're just kind of going for percentile rank of how you feel in your class. Not for America, not for McGinnis, but your class overall for these features. So pause the video real quick, and I want you to either just in your mind or on a piece of paper that you'll take out, write down these 7 numbers for yourself. So once you've done that, let's talk about what we think is going to happen with these numbers. So first of all, what we're talking about is called the Lake Wobegon effect. It's a term, there's a fictional place where everybody's above average. It's kind of a funny thing, because it's not possible for a group to be above average, because the average person in a group is average. If you take even in at MIT, just a bunch of smart people in college, or at Harvard, Yale, whatever, the average person at Harvard, like there's an average at Harvard where half of the people are dumber than that, half the people are smarter than that. Even at on an NFL team or a NBA basketball team, half the people on that team are below average. That's how average works. So what we ought to have, if we were to tally everybody's scores up, the average athleticism should be 5, because half of people, if you did it correctly, should say that you are below average athletic, and half people should say they're above average athletic. Here in a second, we're going to see some results from years past. But now I want you to, and it's a shame we don't have an actual class to kind of bounce this off of, because this is an activity that ends up taking a lot of time. It's kind of fun, but I want you to think, which one of these do you think will be the most inflated if I were to take everyone's average scores, and which one do you think will be the least inflated? So again, I'll let you a second to think about that. Do you think that everybody thinks they're more athletic than average? Do you think everybody thinks they're a genius? Do you think everyone thinks they're hilarious? Everyone thinks they're beautiful? Everyone thinks they're very friendly? Everyone thinks they're outgoing? Or everyone thinks they're tall? One thing I usually get an agreement on is most people think height will be the most accurately assessed of yourself, because height, first of all, I guess maybe being tall is a good thing. But tall or short, first of all, is entirely not in your control. And secondly, it's not really a good thing or a bad thing. And third, it's extremely objective. You're either tall or you're short, and there's a number of inches that you are. So it's easy to assess how tall you actually are. So short people will tend to say, yeah, I'm short. But the rest of them are kind of subjective. Some people think everyone, like friendliness will be the most inflated, or everyone thinks they're beautiful, that kind of thing. Let's look at some of the results that we've had in the past. So this was from 2013, a while ago. But in this case, it was friendly was the most inflated. So the average friendliness score was 7.4. In fact, if we scroll down, only one person thought that they were below average friendliness. Everybody else thought they were above average. The rest of them were actually shockingly similar. In fact, sense of humor, only 2 people thought they were below average sense of humor. Only 2 people thought they were below average intelligence. Just funny how that works out. Called the Lake Wobegon effect. I have a few questions which are going to be on the Google form. But one is, do you think this is this just humans that tend to have an inflated sense of who they are? Or is this an American thing? Because there's 2 different kinds of cultures in a broad sense. There's individualist cultures, which America's individualist, where you tend to put an emphasis on advocating for yourself, being loud. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. You should, put yourself out there. As opposed to collectivist cultures, would be some Asian cultures where it is a really good thing to kind of merge yourself with society and put others' needs ahead of yourself. Do you think that in one of those collectivist cultures, maybe you get lower averages? Or do you think it wouldn't make a difference, first of all? And I'll have a few other questions like that. How many minutes we at now? Wow, 7 minutes. Very short video today. So that's all we're going to have today. Tomorrow's going to be really good when we talk about Coco the gorilla, as well as Jeannie Wiley, who was the feral human who learned, well, I won't spoil it, but she was 13 years old when she was discovered. But that's all we have today. Hope everything's going well for all of you and your families, and we'll have a Zoom call at 1 o'clock.